For today's top stories, let's go over to the CBN News Desk.
Thanks, Gordon. The man who leaked the secrets about the government surveillance program is running out of places to hide. Edward Snowden has been in the Moscow airport for 10 days now, and one by one, countries around the world are heeding the U.S. warning not to get involved. Here's Charlene Israel.
Edward Snowden is hitting some hurdles in his attempts to seek refuge outside of the U.S. Over the weekend, the NSA leaker applied for asylum in Russia. On Tuesday, he reportedly withdrew that request when he learned of President Vladimir Putin's terms. Snowden could only stay in the country if he stopped leaking U.S. secrets. The U.S. and Russia don't have an extradition treaty, but President Obama says high-level talks continue.
Mr. Snowden, we understand, has traveled there without a valid passport, without legal papers, and we are hopeful that the Russian government makes decisions based on the normal procedures regarding international travel and the normal interactions that law enforcement have.
Putin doesn't seem to be on the same page, saying he has no plans to turn Snowden over to the United States. WikiLeaks says Snowden's requests for asylum from several other countries have recently been denied, and Ecuador, his original destination, is beginning to distance itself, giving mixed signals about whether it will shelter him. In a statement attributed to Snowden on the WikiLeaks website, he blasted Obama, saying, "Although I am convicted of nothing, the United States has unilaterally revoked my passport, leaving me a stateless person without any judicial order. The administration now seeks to stop me exercising a basic right, a right that belongs to everybody, the right to seek asylum." Over the weekend, Snowden leaked that the U.S. has been eavesdropping on European Union offices in Washington and New York. President Obama says if he wants to know what U.S. allies are doing, he'll simply ask them. But European leaders are now demanding answers. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi says he will not step down, despite an ultimatum by the Egyptian military to do so. The military says it will intervene in Egypt's political crisis if Morsi doesn't, quote, meet the people's demands. Protesters have been storming and have burned the headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood, and some worry that a civil war is possible. Chris Mitchell has that story from Jerusalem.
Egyptian state TV broadcast the army's ultimatum. It read in part, if the people's demands are not achieved before the agreed period of time, then it is the duty of the military to announce a roadmap for the future. The anti-Morsi demonstrators welcomed the army's announcement.
We're very happy here. We never lost confidence in our army. We've always trusted that our army will be with us. We're very proud, we're very happy, we're very proud of Egyptians. Egyptians made it.
Morsi supporters fear the army is poised to take over.
It's clear that the army is planning a coup. The army must support the legitimacy of the president and the legitimacy of the constitution.
Since Sunday, millions of Egyptians have poured into the streets to demand Morsi leave office. One commentator called them the biggest mass demonstrations in human history. After 1 year in office, they say Morsi has put the goals of the Muslim Brotherhood ahead of the good of Egypt. Some say the current crisis puts the Muslim Brotherhood at a crossroads.
Next step for the Brotherhood is one of two choices, either to revert to violence and then they will suffer for the next, I don't know how many years for that decision, or just decide to keep it peaceful and respond to the people's demands, and then maybe we're looking forward for national reconciliation between all of us.
U.S. President Barack Obama, who is visiting several African nations, called for restraint and compromise on both sides. Yet many opposition members accuse the Obama administration of helping the Muslim Brotherhood come to power. What the army will do when the 48-hour ultimatum expires remains to be seen. Organizers of the mass demonstration say if Morsi does not step down, they'll intensify their campaign, including civil disobedience. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. Another case of religious freedom versus gay rights. The case against a flower shop owner in Richland, Washington is now underway. Baronelle Stutzman owns Arlene's Flowers. She's being sued by the state attorney general and a homosexual couple. Stutzman objected to providing flowers for a same-sex wedding because of her Christian faith. The state attorney general argues she discriminated. Stutzman's attorney says the case is not about discrimination, but freedom of religion. Stutzman says she has no problem with homosexual couples, but won't support gay weddings because of her religious beliefs. Well, NBC says it will air a sequel to the hit cable miniseries, The Bible. The network says it will join with producer Mark Burnett and his wife, actress Roma Downey, of the sequel series. They produced The Bible for the History Channel earlier this year. NBC says the working title right now is AD Beyond the Bible, and it will open in the days following the death of Jesus. No air date has been set. Looks good, though. A judge says a school district in the San Diego area can teach yoga. The Superior Court judge says yoga is a religious practice, but not the way the district teaches it. The parents who brought the case say the classes are inherently religious and violate the separation of church and state. They will probably appeal. Well, nearly 2 million evangelicals took to the streets of Sao Paulo this weekend for the March for Jesus in Brazil. Pastor Esteban Hernandez and Congressman Marco Feliciano accompanied one of the first floats in the parade. Feliciano has been heavily criticized for his opposition to gay rights proposals. The March for Jesus, by the way, gathers more participants than the Gay Pride Parade. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to cbnnews.com.